DHCP server. DHCP means Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. It is the standard protocol, and we use this to configure the DHCP services in our Linux system. Now we have two options for assigning IP addresses to hosts, and that is by manually configuring and configuring it to get IP address automatically. And in large network, then assigning an IP address manually is difficult, because we can make mistakes to use the same IP addresses on multiple machines, and manual IP addresses will assign as permanent addresses, and this can waste some IP addresses also. And for all these problems, we can use the DHCP server and DHCP server to assign IP addresses to all the hosts. So the DHCP's job is to provide the IP configurations to the host, the configuration to the host which asks for the IP configurations. So the clients which ask for the configuration, the job for the DHCP server is to provide the IP addresses. IP addresses, that means the whole configuration of IP addresses. It is called Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol and is for configuring host machines' IP informations. This protocol assigns IP addresses to all machines which request for IP addresses automatically, and it provides IP addresses, DNS server addresses and gateway addresses, and DHCP assign IP addresses on lease basis that will not waste any IP addresses, because if some IP addresses are not used, they will be reused after the lease period expired. So it gives on lease, always the DHCP server gives the IP addresses on lease. So if the IP addresses are not used, that means it is not going to be wasted. It is going to be reused by the DHCP server after the lease period expired. Now, DHCP server gives IP addresses to all machines, whether it is Linux or Windows. All machines, those machines who is asking for IP addresses, who is set to configure the IP address automatically. Now when the machine set to configure the IP address automatically, the machine do this DORA process. The client machines do what? The DORA process uses the DORA process to get the IP address, and the server, DHCP server, uses the DORA process to assign IP addresses to host. Now what is the DORA process? So this is the DORA process. DORA process, that means DORA. Now in this, what happens when we configure the client to get the IP address automatically and we apply the setting? So when we press apply OK or apply the setting, what the client do? Client will start sending the packet which is called DHCP discover package. Now this packet will go on to reach every machine within the network, within the LAN network. This packet goes on broadcast basis. Now why it goes on to broadcast the packet? Because the client does not know that what is the DHCP server IP address. He does not know that what is the network of this LAN the LAN network. He does not know anything about it. So it will do what? It will broadcast the packet, broadcast the discover packet to everyone within the network. So as soon as we apply the setting here to get the IP address automatically, our machine starts sending the DHCP discover request for everyone, for the network. Now in that request, this machine does not have any IP addresses configured, so there is no IP addresses configured in the source portion. On the destination portion, it is having the broadcast IP address. That means it will reach to every machine in the network. Then in the source portion, for the MAC address, it will add its own MAC address here in the client the client's MAC address, so that when the DHCP server replies, it can reply by this MAC address. Now the DHCP discover packet reaches to everyone in the network, but nobody will reply, only the DHCP server will reply. DHCP server will reply with the DHCP offer. If the DHCP server is not there to give the answer, it is not there, then what our machine do? It will, if it is a Windows machine, then it will do what? It will assign itself an IP address, that is APIPA private IP address. It uses the APIPA range to assign its own IP address. But if it is a Linux machine, then it will not use the APIPA. It will go on to use this, it is not going to use any IP actually. It will remain IP less. Now, if the DHCP server is available, so the DHCP server, when it gets the discover packet, so DHCP server will send the DHCP offer packet. Now this offer packet will also go as a broadcast, but in the MAC address field it has the MAC address of this client machine, so that the client machine will accept the packet, other machines will not accept the packet. So this request, this DHCP offer goes on to the client machine, and client machine accept the DHCP offer packet. Now what is the information in the offer packet? So the offer packet is the offer from the DHCP server saying that I am having these IP addresses available, and this is the IP address I want to give you, the client. Do you want to accept this IP or not? That means on DHCP server, what we do, we configure the pool of IP addresses, like the range of IP addresses which we want to allocate. So we configure the range of IP addresses in the pool that we want to allocate to the clients. So when any client send the discover packet to the DHCP server, so server checks the pool and see that what IP addresses are available. That means the IP addresses which is not leased to any other client. So it will check in the pool that whether any IP address is available or not, and if any IP address is available, then it will send the first IP as an offer to the client with this DHCP offer packet. It says, do you want to have this IP address or not? Now the client want to have an IP address, definitely say what? DHCP request. It will send the DHCP request packet, so that it is saying that I want to accept the IP address which you have offered, and I want to get this IP address. Now the request goes to the DHCP server, and DHCP server sees the request. So DHCP server says, okay, I'm allocating this IP address to you, and now you can use that IP address. Now it will do what? It will the DHCP server will do what? It will update the database, and it says that this IP address is now allocated to this particular client, and this is now leased for the period of time which we have configured in the DHCP server. So it will update the database that this IP address is allocated to this particular client on this lease time. And after updating the database, the DHCP server sends the acknowledge packet, that is the acknowledge packet, DHCP pack, and it says that you can now use this IP address. And the client will do what? Client will apply that IP address in the interface, on the interface adapter, the network adapter, and enable the network adapter. And this is how the DHCP the client will get the IP address from DHCP server. And this is actually called DORA, that means discover, offer, request, and acknowledge. Now the lease period, when the lease period expires, so the DHCP server sends the packet, DHCP release packet to the client. It says that you have to release the packet, release the IP address. And after the release packet, this client will do what? It needs the IP address, so it will do what? It will send the DHCP renew request, and then the DHCP server will renew the IP address. That means it will give the available IP, whatever the IP address available. If it is available the same IP address, then it will get the same IP address again, and if the same IP address is not available, then it will give the other IP which is available to the client. So when we are having the IP address automatically from the DHCP server, then the IP addresses may change time to time. That means sometime client machine has some other IP, and sometime the client machine will get some other IP. So it is possible that the IP address for the client will change after some time or time to time. Now there is one more thing can happen, like if suppose we have already configured some IP addresses manually. Now remember, the manually IP addresses will not change. So if suppose we have some server there and we have configured the IP address manually on that server, because servers needs the manual IP addresses, and also we have used that same IP address which we have configured manually, we should not use that IP address in the pool in the range of available IP addresses, but we have mistakenly configured the pool with that IP also. Now DHCP server don't know about it. It feels like this IP is available for use, and if someone asks for that IP which is already configured manually, so DHCP server may give that IP to the client. Now the client will use the IP. When the client apply the IP to interface and then enable the interface, then the client knows that this IP is already used in some other machine. Now they will do the conflict. They will see the conflict here, and what the client will do. Now the manual configured IP will not change. So this client which is trying to get the IP, trying to apply the IP, it will send the DHCP decline package to DHCP server, and that means that this IP is already in use. It is a bad IP. Now DHCP server will do what? It will allocate the another IP. It will send the offer for another IP to the DHCP, this client machine, and it will allocate the other IP for this client, and the IP which was declined, it will add that IP as a bad IP in the database, and that means it will not give that IP again to any other machine. Now we should not give those IP addresses which we are used manually. We should not give that IP addresses in the pool configuration which we configure on the DHCP server. So this is the job of DHCP server, and this is how the DHCP server provide the IP addresses. Now how we can configure it in our Linux system. So this is our Linux machine, and here we want to configure the DHCP server. So first we need the package. Then we need the package to configure the DHCP server, and the package which we need is DHCP. So we can check the package is installed or not. So the package is not installed. This is the package which we need, DHCP. So the package is not installed. So if it is not installed, so we can install it by using yum if we have configured the yum, or we can configure we can use it we can install it by using the RPM also. So yum is already configured, so I will install by using the yum. The package which we need is DHCP. I will give a star for all the DHCP related packages, and I will give yes also, so that it will install without asking any question. And it is installed. There is only one we need, and it is now installed. Now we should see what is the important files we required. Let's check these important files we have with that DHCP packet. So in DHCP package, after installing, we have these configuration files for the DHCP, and this is the main configuration file for DHCP, dhcpd.conf. This is for IPv4, and if we want to configure IPv6, then we can use this dhcpd6.conf. Then we have services for the dhcp.service. This is the service we have. The service name is dhcpd. And for IPv6, we have DHCP d6.service. Then we have these documentation files for configuration and other information. Then we have these two files which keeps the information about lease. That means when the DHCP server provides the IP address to some other machines, so it will keep the information into this file. This file contains the lease information for IPv6 and lease information for IPv4. This file is for IPv4 and this file is for IPv6. Now for configuring our DHCP server, what we need to do is to create a pool of IP addresses and other informations like DNS server information, gateway information, lease period. So we have to configure the pool of IP addresses which is available. We have to configure the router address, DNS address, domain name, and also the lease time. So all of these we can configure in the main configuration file. So this is our main configuration file. So let's open the main configuration file. etc dscp dscpd.conf. This is the main configuration file. Now when I open the file, it shows this. It says the DHCP server configuration file is this. Now the file contains nothing. It is not having any information. Now how we are going to configure it, what will be the format for the configuration, it is not showing anything here. It is not even showing the default configurations. So if we want to know that how the format is, what is the format for this configuration file, and how we can configure the pool and the other information. So it says that see this sample file. So there is a sample file we have. We can see that sample file, that how we can create the pool, how we can create and what is the format of creating the pools and other information. Or it says see the man page of dhcpd.conf. That means the configuration file man page is also there. So we can check the man page for the configuration details, how and what we can configure in this configuration file. So let's see the sample file, that how we can configure it. So I will open the sample file here, which is a USR, which is under USR shared document under DHCP. DHCP version 4, and this is the d.conf example file. Now when I open this, we can see the format of the configuration. And the format of the configuration and all the commands also it is showing here. It is showing here that this is the options, DHCP servers option we have. The option says the domain name. This is domain name. This is our DNS domain name, and this is the domain server. That is our DNS server names here. So we can define the domain name and DNS server like this. Then the lease period is this. We can define the lease period like this. Then here it is defining the log facility. That is the facility, the service which is going to be logged. So this is the facility which is going to use the type of log. That means this is the type of log it is generated. So the facility, this facility is going to handle the log, and based on the facility it is going to be logged into the file, and it is defined under the syslog config file that this facility is logging where. It is actually logging into boot.log. Then here we define the subnet. We define the subnet, that means the pool, the range of IP address in the subnet of our range. For example, here it is defining the subnet, that this is the subnet, and under the subnet it is defining here a range of IP addresses which is we want to allocate with the option router, that means the router address here. Then it is also giving one more sample for this. If you read this, you can see what it is saying here. This is the no service will be given on this subnet, but declaring it help the DHCP server to understand the network topology. It is only defining the subnet here, it is not mentioning anything here. So it will define, it will help the DHCP server to understand the subnet topology. If you want to use the basic subnet declaration, then we can do it like this. This is the basic subnet declaration where you mention the subnet, then we mention the range, and we mention only the router information. Then we can mention, this is the declaration allows the BOOTP clients to get dynamic addresses, which we don't really recommend. This is not recommend because now BOOTP is also working, DHCP can work as a boot protocol. This boot protocol used to give the IP addresses for the booting machine. Booting machine, that means if suppose we are installing the system from network, so those machines need to be boot from the network, and for that we can mention this boot range also. This is the dynamic BOOTP range, but now we don't need this because our normal DHCP range can work like this. Both are now same. That is why it is saying it is not recommended, really recommended. Now This is a slightly different configuration for an internal subnet. So if you want to define the internal subnet, so this is the configuration we have. This is the complete configuration sample we have. We define the subnet here, then the range here, normal range, then the domain name, domains are DNS servers, then domain name, routers, broadcast address for the subnet, then the lease period. So if we want to define our subnet, if we want to create the pool for our network, then we have to do it like this. Then it is also having this thing, it is saying that host which requires special configuration options can be listed in the host statements, and if no addresses are specified, the address will be allocated dynamically if possible, and but the host specific information will still come from the host declaration. Now this is what this is sometimes we want to give some a fixed IP address to some host. IP, this is DHCP reservation. So if we want to allocate some specific IP addresses to the specific host, then we can use this syntax. We can assign the IP address based on the MAC address of that host. So we will put the MAC address here, and then we can put the IP address for that host. It is getting the information from the file for the IP addresses, and this is the server for this. It is assigning the server name here, and this is for the boot P. We can assign the fixed address like this also. Then again for the different pools, these are different configuration here. Now we don't need to have all the configuration. We can have a same configuration. We can have the same configuration like this in our main configuration file. Now we have these options here under the pool. Now this option is under the subnet option. That means for this subnet, for this pool, these options will be there. That means like for example DNS server, domain name, router, lease period, all these options will be for this particular pool or particular subnet. Now we can have these options here also. Now this option is actually option defines common to all supported networks. That means if our DHCP server is connected to 2 or 3 networks, different networks, and we want to create subnet pool information or subnet information for 2-3 different subnets, so we can do that. We can create the different subnet informations. But if we want to use a common information for all the subnets, for example we have 2 departments, 3 departments, so we divided the network into 2 departments or 3 departments. So we have 1 subnet, 2 subnet, 3 subnets. We have 3 subnets. Now we want to provide automatic IP addresses to all those 3 subnets. So we connect them to this DHCP server and configure the pool for them. Now when we configure the pool for them, so what we will do, we will give the subnet information will be different for each subnet. The range of IP addresses will be different for each subnet, but maybe they are in the same domain, so the domain name will remain same. So instead of configuring the name for every subnet, we can configure here directly that this is our domain name. So it will be same for all. Then the DNS server, maybe we have same DNS server for all the subnets. So what we can do is instead of configuring one by one in each subnet, we can configure globally. We can say this is the DNS servers. Then also for lease time, like for example we want to configure the same lease time for all the subnets. So we can configure it here directly, and it will be applied for all the subnets. We want to configure the same information, like the same configurations. So what we will do now, we can create the same configurations, or what we can do, we can use this sample file. So I will do what, I will use this sample file and redirect the output to main configuration file. So what I am doing, I am redirecting the configuration to the main configuration file. So whatever we have here, it is going to be redirected to the main configuration file, and I don't want to overwrite, so I will do what, 2 shines. Now what, we have the sample into my main configuration file. Now we will configure it according to our requirement. So I will do what, I will keep what I want, or I will remove what I don't want, because it is having lots of things, so we don't need the all the things. So we can keep the things which we want, and we can remove the things which we don't want. Like for example, these global definitions I don't need, so I will comment this. I don't need these global definitions. I don't need this global lease time definition. Then log facility I will use, because this is for logging, and it will log all the errors and related informations. Now this subnet is actually just an example. I don't need this one. Now why I don't need this one? Because it is not having the other options, and I will not use the boot P also. This is the basic definition, so I am not using this one also. This is for boot P, so I am not going to use the boot P. So I am commenting this also. Now in this sample we have all the settings which we require, so I will not comment this one. I will use this one, and I will modify it according to our network. Now I don't need this one. Then I don't need this one. Either you can we can delete, or I'm just commenting it, so it will not apply. Then all of these things also I don't need. So I will comment these all things. So I commented out all those things which I don't require. Now I keep this subnet, because it is having all the information which I need. Now I will modify it according to my requirement, or just we can copy this into our main configuration file. Now our network is so this is our network, so we are using this network, so I mentioned the network here, and our network subnet mask is the default one, so I'm using the default subnet mask. So here I'm defining our subnet first. Then we will define here that the range of IP addresses we want to provide. So I will say I want to provide the IP addresses from 2 to 254. Now the DNS server, now it is mentioning the DNS server's name here. You can mention the name also, or you can mention the IP address. I will mention the IP address so that it will easily resolve. So this will be the IP address for the DNS server. Now what is the domain name for our domain? So our domain name is example.com. So I will mention that this is our domain name, example.com. Now what will be the router address for our network? So we can mention the router address also here. For example, our router address is this. Then based on our network, what will be the broadcast address for our network? So this is the broadcast address for our network. Then mention the lease time. Now lease time we have two here: default lease time and maximum lease time. We have two lease times here, and this is in seconds. So in seconds, this is 600 seconds and 7200 seconds. Now what that means? Why we have two lease times? Now remember, when we configure the client to get the IP address from DHCP server, so it will send a request, this DHCP discover packet, and it will try to get the IP address. Now when we get the IP addresses and after the lease time expires, then what the client do? Client will try to get the IP address again from the server. It will get the DHCP release, it will release the IP address, and then it will try to get the IP address again from the DHCP server. It will send the DHCP renew package to get the IP address. Now if on that time if the DHCP server is not available, that means what? The IP will not be given. Now if the DHCP server is not available, then if it is a Windows machine, so Windows machine do what? They assign themselves an IP address from the APIPA range. They use the APIPA range, and from APIPA range they assign one IP address from themselves. But if it is a Linux machine, so Linux does not use APIPA, so Linux machine will go on to have no IP addresses. Now that is why we have these two ranges here. First is the default time, the time which we want to give. This here in the default lease time we will mention the time which we want to allocate, the lease time, the exact lease time. But we can also mention the maximum lease time. That means if the client lease time is expired and the client try to get the IP address from the DHCP server, try to connect the DHCP server, now it is not able to get the IP address because the DHCP server is not running or not responding, then what the Linux machine do? It will not remove the IP address, not goes on blank. It will still use the same IP address until the maximum time. Within this time the DHCP server may be available and the client will get the IP address again. But it is just like a grace time for the client, so that it can still use the IP address till this time and keep trying to connect the DHCP server for renewing. Now after this maximum time also the DHCP server is not available, then the client will goes on to leave the IP address. It will not have any IP address. If it is a Windows machine, then Windows machine use APIPA. Linux machines don't use APIPA. So this is what the configuration. So what we did, actually we used the sample file and we modified it according to our requirement. Now we don't need to change anything. What we will do, we will save the file here and then we will restart the server. We will start the server by starting the service. So for starting the server, what we will do, we will make sure the service is running and the service is DHCPD. Now service is saying that this is inactive DAT, so it is not running, and by default it is also disabled. So what we will do, we will start the service. And then we will check the status and it says that the service is started. So now service is running, but it is still disabled. It is still disabled because it is by default disabled. So when the server reboots, then it will go back to disable. Now we have some warnings here also. It is saying no subnet declaration for this interface and this IP address. It is the virtual interface for the virtual bridge, and we have not defined any configuration for the IP address assigned to this interface. So it is not it is only showing that warning here, but other than that it is everything is okay and server is started normally. Now this server is started and it is now accepting the request for IP addresses. Now the client has to send a request. Now client can be any, it can be Windows client, it can be Linux client, it does not matter. Any client who is configured to get the IP address dynamically, automatically, it will send a request DHCP discover packet, and it is this DHCP server will reply and it will give the IP address to that client. Now let's check from the client side. Okay, this is our client, and I will go to command prompt. Now first I will check what IP we have. So right now this interface is configured to have this IP address, and it is configured manually. So it is saying here that this IP address is configured manually. Now what we want to do, we want to get the IP address from DHCP server. So what I will do here, I will configure this interface, this connection, modify the connection, and what I will do, I will set IP address IPv4 method to auto. Now auto means I'm setting it to get the IP address from DHCP automatically, and then I will reset the connection by using up and save the changes what we did. Now it says activated successfully. Now we'll check what IP address it has got. So now we can see it has got this IP address 19.0.0.2, and the gateway and the DNS server. Now it is not showing the gateway, it is showing the previous gateway because this machine is not rebooted. We have not restarted the service, we have not rebooted, so previous IP addresses are also showing here. So it got the IP address here, but the previous IP is also showing here because it is not removed. When we reboot the system, so it will remove all the previous things and it will get the new IP address from the DHCP. It will remain only the IP which we have got from the DHCP server. Or I will try to restart the network service. And it is still there, so I will reboot it. So it will remove, when we reboot the system, so it will remove the previous IP addresses. It remains there. Now when you check the device information, you can see it is getting this IP address. We have started from 2, so it is getting the first IP, available IP, and this is the gateway address, this is the DNS server address, this is the domain name which we have configured. We have configured it from the DHCP server. Now from the server, if we want to see what IP address this client is getting, so we can check that lease file. So which server, which client machine get what IP addresses. If we want to see the lease information, so we can see it, and it is under the lease file, and that is under var lib DHCP, and this is the lease file. So we can see that under var lib DHCP D and DHCP dot lease. Now when you check, this is the file, and when you open it, you can see that who got these IP addresses. So first time this 19.0.0.2 is given to this. It starts from this time, ends on this time, and controlled on this time, and binding state is active, next binding state is free, rebinding state is free, and this is the MAC address of that system, and this is the name of that system. Now it is showing here 2-3 times because we have changed the IP address, we have restarted the service and we have restarted the server also. So it is showing the 2-3 times here. The same IP address is given to the same machine because that IP address was available. So whenever the machine was asking, he was getting the same IP address because it is available. But sometime what happened, if the IP address is not available, the client will get the different IP address. Now this is the time, starting time, lease. This is the lease time we can see here, and it was 600 seconds, and it is 10 minutes. If you see, it is 21 to 31. So basically it is what, 10 minutes, and that is 600 means it is the 600 seconds. Now we can change the lease time according to our requirement, whatever we need. I have not changed it. I have used it the default time 600 seconds, but we can change it. Now this is how the DHCP server is working, and it is giving the IP address to the clients. Now if we want some clients to get the fixed IP address, so we can also do that by using the MAC address of that client. So we can assign the fixed address for some client from DHCP server. That means whenever the client will ask for the IP address, it will always get the same IP address. It will always get the same IP address whenever it asks. Now if the client asks for the IP address, it sends the MAC address also. So based on the MAC address, the DHCP server will do what? It will always provide the fixed address for that client. It matches the MAC address, and then if the MAC address matches, then it will do what? It will give the fixed IP address. Now we want to configure that, so we need the MAC address of that client. For example, this machine's MAC address is this, and I want to give this machine a specific IP address. So what I will do here, I will open the main configuration file. And under the main configuration file, we have these options here available to give the fixed address. We have commented that. Now we want to enable it. So I will enable these settings. This is the host, and MAC address. This is a sample MAC address. So I will remove this, and I will give the MAC address of that client machine. Now what IP address we want to give to that system whenever it asks for IP address. So here we will define that IP address. Let's say for example, I want to give that machine a fixed IP address of this. So whenever it asks, it will get this IP address. Now I will save the changes and restart the service. Now whenever that machine asks for the IP address, it will get the fixed IP. Let's check that. So it was getting this available IP, the first available IP. Now when it asks for it, it will get the new IP. What I will do, I will just restart the network service. Now we will check the IP address, and now you can see it is getting the IP address, which is this, the fixed IP address which we have defined, 19.0.0.50. Now whenever it asks, it will always get the same IP address because we have mentioned the MAC address of the system to the DHCP server. So when it asks for the IP address, it uses the MAC address, this MAC address, and because of this MAC address, DHCP server do what? It will give the fixed IP address to this client. So this is how the DHCP server we configured in Linux machine, and we also can configure the fixed IP address for some clients.